On this World Oceans Day, San Francisco-based Newday Impact is launching its first ETF focused on restoring the marine ecosystem. The Ocean Health ETF will be trading under the ticker Ahoy and will donate 5% of its net revenue to Philippe Cousteau's EarthEcho International. Joining us now is Philippe Cousteau, EarthEcho International co-founder, as well as Doug Heske. He's Newday Impact CEO. It's great to have both of you on. Doug, let me just put the first question to you. What are the criteria to get into this ETF, and what kind of companies are we talking about?
Akiko, great to see you again, and thank you so much for having us on what is this very important 30th anniversary of World Oceans Day. So the Newday Ocean Health ETF trading under the symbol Ahoy will be a combination of both direct and indirect companies that are supporting ocean health in areas like aquaculture and sustainable fishing, in areas like pollution remediation, and in areas like climate change. So all of these organizations are leaders in the space, taking very deliberate efforts to combat what are significant changes impact what is our most important ecosystem on the planet today.
Hey, and I want to direct this question over to Philippe. It's Brian Chung here. I wanted to ask you just about, why going through an exchange-traded fund, kind of in the finance realm of things, when it comes to highlighting these issues, which I'm sure there are many other avenues to use to highlight the needs of the world's oceans today. Why'd you decide to make this partnership and kind of go with this route?
Brian, that's a really important question. I just want to note I'm actually at the United Nations today, so forgive the background. I stepped out of a conference here to join you just for a few minutes, but it's really, ETFs are really, I think, a valuable tool because I like to think of them as a democratic investment tool, right? It allows access to anybody to be able to trade, and to invest in these kinds of investment tools that can help build the kind of future that we all want. And I think that's important because this is something that everybody needs to be able to be involved in. So the fact that folks can invest in Ahoy, this is not just limited to sophisticated investments or investors. This is something that's really available to anyone. And that approach is really important to me in our work.
Philippe, I know this is focused specifically on the world's oceans, but this comes at a time when there's a lot of skepticism around some of these ESG funds. Some would argue, why is a company like Chevron, for example, in an ESG fund? And the question is, what kind of impact can not this particular fund, but ESG funds in general really make? I mean, you're a conservationist. How do you connect the dots?
That's a great question. Several years ago, I was at a conference here in New York, actually, talking about annual charitable giving in the United States, which is somewhere around a couple $100 billion. And then in the same conference, they were talking about the financial markets worth somewhere in the neighborhood, 30, 35 trillion at the time. And I started thinking to myself, well, clearly, we need to have investment vehicles. We need to drive economic change, not just, conservation and nonprofits. And so we need to figure out how we tap into financial markets. And while there are certainly not all ESG vehicles are created equal, it is an important movement. And embracing and developing this movement, like we have with Ahoy and what we're doing with the Newday, is absolutely critical to see the kind of economic shifts and support the right companies, the right organizations doing the right thing to build a better future. I think that's what it's all about. It's about recognizing the financial markets need to be moving in a positive direction, and we need to have the functions and the tools in order to do that. And ESG is right now the best way to do that, and impact investing in particular.
I want to turn to you, Doug. I mean, starting an ETF is not something you could just do overnight. I imagine you've had many conversations with prospective investors about this idea as you were putting it together. Who's your target audience here? We know that a lot of institutional money is going in ETFs, but in this day and age, there's a lot of retail investors just trading on their phones as well these days.
Yeah, so I want to circle back to a comment that Philippe just made, that we are building movements here. And the intention of the release of the Newday Ahoy ETF is essentially to give every investor, whether it be an individual or an institution that is responsibly minded, an opportunity to align their values with social impact. And so that our target group of investors is virtually anybody that cares about supporting ocean health and remediation around climate change. So we have, over the course of the last 5 years, been wholly focused on building relationships with family offices and foundations. We are taking this level of institutional quality services from here and making it available in the form of an exchange traded fund to virtually everybody.
Philippe Cousteau, EarthEcho International co-founder, and Doug Heske, Newday Impact CEO. Thanks again for stopping by. Appreciate it.